What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 108. And before I get to it, like this video, okay? And go bold in the comments section. How are you doing, Breton? How are you doing?
Well, I'm just so thrilled to be here to say goodbye to a Real Madrid legend in the form of Eden Hazard. Oh, no, I mean Karim Benzema. No, you know what? You're supposed to laugh at that, man. You're supposed to whatever, but I know it's tough times. You're sitting in a Barca shirt, and we're gonna have to talk about Real Madrid for a long period of time because yes, not only is Eden Hazard leaving Real Madrid, but Karim Benzema, obviously the most decorated player of all time in Real Madrid history, will be leaving the Bernabeu and maybe the greener pastures. I don't know. A place with a green flag? I don't know. But I'm doing well. There's so much to talk about. The transfer market is heating up. The U20 World Cup is heating up. The Champions League is next weekend. I'm excited for that. We've got so much going, and I'm ready to get into it, man. What about you?
I didn't know Benzema was the most decorated player in Real Madrid history. 25 trophies. Yeah. So he surpassed Marcelo. I think he, as I recall, has 24 trophies from Marcelo. So that is a bold stat just to start. But something happened. Something starting in England. And people, Man City are really so close to getting the treble done by winning the FA Cup. Varane played really well. I just want to give a first shout out to Varane, which did shut down a bit Haaland. But the Man City team is seemingly this season impossible to shut down. Scoring a goal in 13 seconds. 13 seconds! That's the Guardiola mystique, the Guardiola greatness. And I found a quote that got me mad that said, Alex Ferguson in 2016 said, Guardiola will find the Premier League hard with Man City. City. Look what he's done since then. Winning now the FA Cup, the Premier League, and with a special talent like Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne. Unreal.
Don't forget the third part of that trifecta right now because Ilkay Gundogan, he's either trying his best to audition for whoever his next club is, or he's basically clearly stating to Pep, pay me what I need to get paid to stay here, man. Make it happen. Because I could see both happening. I don't think it's like 80. It used to be in my mind 80-20 that Gundogan was out the door. Okay. Now I think it's more like a coin flip. I think it's 50-50 because he keeps popping up and scoring these big goals. You think he's leaving?
Yeah.
I mean, Barcelona seems close. I hear that. But listen, what I love about this is Gundogan has now scored some massive goals for them. And I honestly, and I know we're going to talk about the Champions League final in a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be Haaland's star like it wasn't in the FA Cup final, like it wasn't in the second leg of that Real Madrid destruction in the Champions League semi. I think it's going to be Gundogan again, and it's going to be De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne now has 28 assists on this season, and they've been able to rest him. They've been able to manage his time for the most part.
And if it's not De Bruyne, it's Bernardo Silva.
I know. It's huge, and that's where the quality of depth comes in. It does not need to be Haaland on any given day. Haaland is literally that guy that just disarms you and makes you pay attention to him. And if you don't give him enough attention, he'll score 4 goals. And if you do give him enough attention, Bernardo Silva will score the goal, or Gundogan, or De Bruyne, or whatever. And it's going to be, my goodness.
Very well said. And you said many points in which the first point I'm going to say, and some Arsenal fans will not be happy about this, but Ilkay Gundogan is the best German player I've ever seen in the Premier League. He surpasses Mesut Ozil. Why? Wow. Yes, the brilliance of Ozil is immense. Yes. But Gundogan, the involvement, the leadership, the talent, the adaptability, and the consistency, yes. Gundogan deserves the title of best German ever in the Premier League.
I'm
really,
okay with that.
I really believe in what I'm saying. And yes, I also believe, I'm wearing the jersey. I believe Gundogan should go to Barcelona because they can be a title-winning team in the Champions League. I have to believe that with Pedri and Gavi next to him in midfield. Like, as options, not starting at the same time. But that's another topic. But maintaining
Uh-huh.
maintaining the Man City. I also want to give a highlight to Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is a player that is not just numbers that define him. The involvement, the intensity, the way he communicates and plays with his teammates. 5 goals he scored this season. But again, he's more than just numbers. Gotta say that 100 million price tag is not a problem anymore with Jack Grealish. Sponsored by Gucci too, for a reason. And I think after his career, after he ends football, I think he'll be as iconic maybe as David Beckham. I'm going bold with this prediction, but Grealish is becoming a winner at Man City. How many trophies has he won in one season? Let's see after Man City and his Pep era ends. So I want to give a special shout. Woo!
Well, oddly enough, Jack Grealish, this might surprise people, but he's more than just his calves. He's more than just his hair. We all knew he was going to, have a better season. He was going to kind of grow into this season. But more so, he's got that type of coachability that Gundogan has, that a lot of these guys have. And he clearly wants to win, and that fits right in there. So I'm with you. I don't know if he's ever going to become more iconic than David Beckham in some respects. But listen, under Pep, as ever long as he stays, he could do big things in the Premier League. Post Pep, I don't know. Where does Grealish fit in? We'll see. The thing is but and national team. But listen, Guardiola's getting to the point where domestically there's nothing left for him. He's won 6 out of 6. Pep Guardiola has won 6 out of 6 domestic finals, cup finals. Okay, he's solved it essentially. If he gets to the final, he wins it. He's won 5 out of the last 6 Premier League titles. Okay, he might be the second English club to go for the actual treble, right? That
European
could win
treble.
it next to the European treble, right? I guess you'd call that like the pure treble, where you've got the Champions League, you've got the FA Cup, you've got the Premier League, and the only other one to do that would be a certain Sir Alex Ferguson with Manchester United, I think right around like 1999 or so. So there's a lot going on here, but I think we have to talk about it domestically. Pep Guardiola has solved England. He has solved English football, and I don't know where you want to go with that. But the other thing, the counterpoint here, because we're talking a lot about City because it threads into the Champions League, is I gotta ask, what was Manchester United doing to try and win this game? Okay, they won the game on XG. That doesn't win you games. But up until injury time in the second half, they had exactly 1 shot on goal. One shot on goal.
I get you. And going back with Guardiola, I wanted to mention too, this Guardiola team this season feels different of other teams of Guardiola because of Erling Haaland, in my opinion. The Haaland-De Bruyne duo will be remarked as one of the best duos ever in Premier League history. And that Champions League winning team with Messi at Barcelona with Guardiola, when everything was getting started, that was special with Messi and Guardiola. This Man City team is special the moment Haaland has arrived, and he is seizing the moment to conquer European football. I wanted to say this especially because that is the moment. Guardiola has won 34 titles. 34 titles in his 14-year career as a manager. One more title, the Champions League. That's 35. 35. I'm 25 years of age. He has more titles than my age. How's that possible? That is ridiculous, and that is a pure winner. But mentioning United, I'm saying pure winner. I believe there's a pure winner at the other side too, with Eric Ten Hag. With Eric Ten Hag, the man is bold like Guardiola, and the results of Man United this season, for the expectations for me, were bold. Top 4, getting Champions League football, winning the League Cup, going to the final of the FA Cup with no striker, with Bruno Fernandes leading the way. Maguire, He's leaving the club. So that is the captain. So those decisions, Erik Ten Hag is doing everything for that. So in the culture, that's how you change the culture, by winning games, by winning consistently. And that's why Erik Ten Hag deserves a big financial investment.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. I mean, there's really very little draws, right, when it comes down to Erik Ten Hag's Manchester United. I think there were only a couple wins across all competitions behind Manchester City on the season, even if they were like point-wise way down there because they got blown out multiple times. But when it comes down to it, progress is progress, and I think you got to look at Manchester United with all the turmoil that they've had and the managerial carousel and the player personnel and the crazy confidence erosions that have happened in Harry Maguire and some others across the board. You got to say that this is in turn progress, and Erik Ten Hag, with a full summer under his belt, a transfer window going after guys that he wants, and a transfer kitty that he is going to definitely spend, I do think that they have a chance to be, up there next season, top 3. We'll see. But when it comes down to it, I love the fact, the one thing I just have to say is, I don't know if you saw the quote attributed to Garnacho at the end of the game, or I think it was on his Instagram. The kid's a true winner. Now, some of us, when you're 18 or whatever he is now, it's something called fake it until you make it, right? You have this bravado, we act tougher than we are, we don't let people in, whatever. This kid really does seem like he's got it. He seems like he's absolutely devastated to lose this FA Cup final. And when it comes down to it, you got to bottle that up and spread that out across the team. So I just have to do a quick little shout out to Garnacho, because I think he's going to be a massive, massive part of Ten Hag's future in the Premier League and potentially in Europe, because Garnacho in the Champions League next year makes me a very excited person.
Oh, Breton, you hit one of my main topics for Man United. It is next season. Garnacho must be a starter. It's the intensity, the passion, and the talent. He has everything, Garnacho. And that's why I really believe he's one of the key pieces for the future of Man United. You hit the money, winner mentality. And I think in the future, it's players like Garnacho that will help Ronaldo's legacy when he was at Man United. He helped Garnacho. Look how in love Garnacho was with Cristiano Ronaldo. And to be fair, this season, no player has scored more goals than Cristiano Ronaldo last season. I wanted to say that. But just a special mention with Garnacho. And 2 priorities for Man United. Garnacho starting next season, but another priority in the transfer market is to sign a goalkeeper and a striker. De Gea, I love him. I love him. Great legacy at Man United. Golden Glove for a reason this season. But the passing ability, the mistakes, the concentration in big games. You need someone that needs the wins. De Gea, you're historic, but Diogo Costa, that's the man. 75 million clause. And I can tell you, a lot of people here in Portugal are talking to me saying that it's going to happen. So Man United fans expect big-time talk of Diogo Costa going to Man United.
But there also needs to be an understanding that mistakes run through a team kind of like a plague. Right? It was a crisis of confidence, and I don't think De Gea was alone in the mistakes that he made. Now, somebody that's wearing the captain's armband, you would expect to make less mistakes, sure, but Diogo Costa, if he comes in, he'll make a mistake too. Okay? We saw him make a mistake in the World Cup, right? And it's part and parcel of the game. I think the squad confidence and maybe just turning over a new leaf, right? Is going to be what Ten Hag is looking for there. Do I think Diogo Costa is a better goalkeeper than De Gea right now? No. But do I think obviously his ceiling is higher than where De Gea is? Yeah, obviously. So I think it is paramount that they get this transfer. This is really easy to say. Paramount that they really get this transfer window right, because this striker market that we're going to talk about in the future is the hottest it has ever been. It is the most quality of people willing to leave, massive names willing to leave, are already leaving their club, and Manchester United needs to be a part of that. Or do they go?
The necessity.
It is. It's a necessity.
You have Bayern
Yeah,
Munich, you
yeah.
have PSG, you have Real Madrid.
It's huge.
All these teams need a striker, which will make names like Osimhen maybe leave for 150 million. So those would be the bidding wars. And the best thing too for Daniel Levy, a 1-year contract with Harry Kane. All these players needing a striker, but we'll get to that more forwards. But I just want to say too, with City, going back to City, there's a special player. I mentioned Grealish, Englishman. Another player I want to just give a quick shout, Stones. Just Stones changing position.
Oh, yeah.
Please watch Man City if you had the chance. At the beginning of this season, with now Stones doing that role in midfield, and how Pep Guardiola just invented English football and put Stones in a new position. And even inspires maybe Southgate. Take notes. Guardiola is going bold with that. Doubt it too.
I doubt it.
But I want to say special mention to Phil Foden, okay? He cannot stop winning, this kid. 5 Premier League titles, 4 EFL Cup titles. He's got 2 Community Shields and 2 FA Cups now to his name. Let's see if he gets the Champions League too. But that gives him, without the Champions League, an average of, in 16.6 games, he wins a trophy. Phil Foden at 22. That's astonishing, man. Astonishing.
There's another 2 in here at 22. I believe he has 2 kids already. So good on him, right? No, he's got something to play for, man. We talked about this in the past. Garnacho's going to be having a kid.
Oh, my days.
But yeah, no, Phil Foden is like he's like a veteran already at the age of 22, and it's absolutely insane to think about.
That's mad.
But hey,
people, if you have anything that we have missed out with Man City, Man United, please put down below in the comment section. We want to see your thoughts about the Manchester clubs in the present and in the future. Let's wait and see what happens. But Man City are competing for something huge. A Champions League final is coming, Brunson. Inter ain't easy. Inter ain't easy. But this is like an indestructible train just passing by everyone with Man City, Erling Haaland, Guardiola. So, Man City, Inter. Istanbul. What is going to get through?
Well, I one thing I have to say, this is the first time Manchester City will ever play Inter Milan.
Oh.
Period.
Oh.
Done. Never. Not in a Champions League final.
Oh.
First time they've ever played Inter Milan. So that in and of itself makes it really, really interesting. Now, when it comes down to it, Inter Milan is doing everything they can to break some sort of this ridiculous confidence or this force field around Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. They have come in winning 11 of their last 12 games, securing Champions League football regardless of whether or not they get to actually hoist the Champions League trophy, and they've shut out opponents in 5 of their 6 knockout round games in the Champions League. So none of this necessarily matters when it's a one-off game, but you can flip that script. Lautaro Martinez is just as hot in the near term, just as hot as Erling Haaland when it comes to goal scoring. Just as hot in the near term. Recently, he is as in form can be heading into this final. Now, with all of that said, I still think Manchester City is going to win, but they need Lautaro to be their Diego Milito of 2010. They need some sort of favorite, some sort of gladiator that takes the game by the scruff of the neck, and they need to do something early in this match that puts Manchester City into a crisis of confidence of some sort, or maybe makes them make a mistake. And all of that, in my head, is literally the only thing they can do, because Manchester City, all across the board, is a better squad as it stands.
It's true. Inter do need Lautaro to be Diego Milito. Both Argentinian. I love that. They also need Barella to be Wesley Schneider. And they need Dumfries to have a masterclass like Maicon. And maybe Onana, Julius Caesar. But I do believe there's a lot of iconic names to be mentioned with this Inter team. And just like Man City, it's underrated that Inter are fighting for a European treble. They won the Supercoppa and they won the Coppa d'Italia, beating Fiorentina too. That is in another European final. Simone Inzaghi is bold in finals. If he beats Man City, he wins 8 of his last 9 finals. That is a bold stat. Simone Inzaghi.
Wow.
He's not used to losing too. And Acerbi. Players that I want to mention that can be crucial in this game. It's forwards easy. Inter have Lautaro, Dzeko, Lukaku. All can score a goal at any given moment if they have the right chance. Lukaku, after that traumatic game in the World Cup, he's different ever since then. And Lautaro, 0 goals scored in 6 games in the World Cup. He has something to prove in the world's biggest stage. These 2 strikers. Acerbi,
I'm with you.
But the key factor of Inter, in my opinion, is the defense. Acerbi comes with Inzaghi to Inter from Lazio, which he was his guy at Lazio, Acerbi. And Acerbi, being a veteran, he is the player with most minutes in Inter's team. And I believe Bastoni, Acerbi, and a different Darmian, how different he looks. People, watch out in the final. And Onana, this can be the key thing to beat Man City. Very resistant towards attack, and I guarantee you there's going to be poison in Inter's counterattacks because they will at least maintain. If they maintain the first 10 minutes, no goals from Man City, they'll gain confidence. But if they suffer an early goal, Breton, I'm going to tell you, Inter, this will be the biggest win in the history of the Champions League. I don't know what it is, but if Inter suffers a goal in the first 10 minutes, they'll lose like 4-0 or 5-0. They'll lose that's what I believe. That's my analysis.
And Erling Haaland becomes potentially the first player to score a hat trick ever in the UCL final, or who knows?
That
maybe
never happened.
maybe Ilkay. Yeah, it's never happened. No hat tricks. No hat tricks in a UCL final. You think it'll happen?
I believe Haaland. If Haaland's gonna steal the Mr. Champions League name from Cristiano Ronaldo, is by doing things like you just said. That's mad. Yeah. That's an opportunity. He's thinking about that, Breton. Yeah, I'm calling that.
Yeah, he probably is thinking about that, and he might be thinking too much about it. So we'll see. But listen, there's another statistic that I think is very likely to happen here because Ilkay Gundogan has been the guy late in this season, late in this home stretch, scoring big goals for Manchester City. I believe he'll become, if he scores in the final, he will become one of only 4 players in Champions League history to score for 2 separate teams. Him having scored the goal for Dortmund when they lost a while back, right? And I think 2 of the other guys. One is Mario Mandzukic for Bayern and Juventus, right? And the other one, a certain Cristiano Ronaldo has done that. So we know 3 of the 4. The other guy was, I think, a Serbian guy from like the 70s or the 80s that I don't really know. So when it comes down to it, I think very likely Gundogan definitely does that statistic. But listen, if Manchester City does this, and everybody, for the most part, thinks that it's going to happen, which makes it feel very David Goliath type of whatever, even though Inter has been there, they have done that previously. We got to remember, Manchester City are trying to exorcise a demon. They want this off their back. They want this monkey so far off their back. They want, basically the monkey never to come back again in this. And that is really, really interesting to me because that can get in people's heads. It doesn't look like it's gotten in their heads at all yet, but this core has still been there. They still remember that loss, right? And they want to get this done for their supporters. They will be, if Manchester City wins, they will be the first time UCL winner, I believe in well over a decade, right? I think since Chelsea in 2012 Chelsea won. So in 11 years it'll be the first time that there's been a first-time Champions League winner if Manchester City wins this. So in your right mind, do you think Inter Milan has a chance here? I mean, you've already talked about specifics, but in your mind, do you think Inter Milan will do it? Will David beat Goliath?
After you said that, I cannot stop thinking about Haaland scoring a hat-trick in that final. Since no one has ever done it. Like, imagine if this season we've seen. Imagine if this season we have the privilege. We've already seen Kylian Mbappe scoring a hat-trick in a World Cup final this season. Imagine if Erling Haaland scores a hat-trick in the Champions League final, and he's the first to do so. That would be the next biggest rivalry in the world's biggest stage. So I just gets me goosebumps thinking about this. but Man City, the dominance of Man City, I think it's undeniable because it's making other teams invest more. I think Real Madrid, after being absolutely dominated by Man City, they're just saying that, look, we have to rebuild. We just have to rebuild. Nacho has to go. We're going to mention that, but a lot of pieces have to leave. So that's how I say Man City is changing football, and we are witnessing history with Erling Haaland, with Kevin De Bruyne, and with Pep Guardiola as the key faces. Wanted to say.
If Inter Milan is going to win, I'm going to call it right now. It'll be on set pieces. They will score one on set pieces. It's like the one thing, the couple times you've ever seen Manchester City flail for a little bit has either been them shooting themselves in the foot, maybe not tidy in possession, maybe a little bit off, whatever, but they're going to be razor sharp. Or you get them on the set pieces and you get them early. Inter does have the weapons to get that done. And, I just think that's it. I mean, we're talking about specifics here, right? But broadly put.
Set pieces, crosses, it's Bastoni, Di Marco, and Barella. Zanianoglu and Mkhitaryan obviously can create a cross, but Di Marco is very objective when he tries to find that striker in the box with Dzeko, Lukaku. So I think that's a great prediction that you're doing by saying set piece can be the goal. Wanted to say too, Serie A awards. Wanted to mention briefly, there's an Inter player in the Serie A best awards. So the Serie A awards have best defender Min-jae Kim, best midfielder Nicolo Barella, best forward Victor Osimhen, and the best player Kvisha Kvaratskhelia. Kvaradona for a reason too. The player that was more involved for Napoli. But I do agree that maybe Osimhen should get that.
and who gets the best award for fattest new contract? Go.
Rafael
Leao. There you go.
But comparing, it's 5 million a season. In the Premier League, he'd get the double or triple. But yeah, it's an important extension. It's an important extension, and Rafael Leao is staying at AC Milan, and that will be key. Not just for AC Milan, for the Serie A, to gain more eyeballs. So it's a statement. Yeah. I like how you mentioned that. But I mentioned Man City. And people, put down below in the comment section your final predictions in the Champions League. We want to know your choices when Inter Man City goal scores, anything. And we'll try to answer every single comment. Thank you, people, for watching. And so here's another one. I mentioned Real Madrid. Mentioning Real Madrid. Rebuild is happening, and we see now the departures of Nacho, the departures of Asensio, the departure of now Mariano Diaz, Hazard, and Karim Benzema. So Florentino Perez, after that 4-0 loss to Man City, he said enough is enough. Enough is enough, and that's scary, Breton. That is scary for the rest of Europe. Oh my days.
It is. Oh my days. It is. I'm just happy to see that there is an end to the chapter, though. That they're finally taking an L on some of these transfers that never worked out. Now, they did pretty well getting rid of Luka Jovic for not necessarily working out. But that Eden Hazard, that contract, that transfer, I mean, just since day one, it never worked out. Now, injuries, mentality, maybe whatever. We all know what Eden Hazard used to be. We also know that he has never and likely will never reach that level again, which both saddens and, whatever. Yes, but from a club perspective, Real Madrid actually paying him, saving a little money by getting it done now, that's the best thing they could have done to move forward and move into a new chapter, because I heard there was jockeying for Hazard. I mean, he was about ready to stay again. And I know he only had one. Yeah, man. So this is big, but then there's the big gut punch, the big shocker. Clearly it caught Vinny Jr. by surprise, but Benzema is no more. And Karim Benzema,
That's so
will
sad.
leave.
That's so
That
sad.
shocked me.
That's so sad, man. Benzema. Like that was a good
Yeah.
that was a good name. That was a good name. But
What a
mentioning
waste.
you you mentioned though the contract situation and Real Madrid
Yeah.
are gonna hit hard with forwards because the only forwards they have right now is Vini and Rodrigo. And look at the
Yeah.
contracts that have been released with Hazard, Benzema. That's like more than 40 million a season.
Huge.
Asensio, Nacho, Mariano Diaz must have been getting good. So, like things are really changing. And Benzema, you say, Benzema. This is really the end of the Galactico era. The Galactico era with Benzema. A new era will have to start, but the era of BBC, Bale, Benzema, Cristiano, it's the end now. It's the end. And how do they end up with the most goals and assists in the history of Real Madrid? Ronaldo has the most goals scored, and Benzema is second. And in assists, Benzema is first, and Ronaldo is second. That is the greatness. What a duo it was. They deserve it because they were loyal to Real Madrid. I gotta respect that. So special mention to both because but Benzema,
Hey, 5 Champions League, right? 5 Champions League wins, a Ballon d'Or to his name. You know, I just think Benzema. It might not be the right time to watch supporters leave, watch him leave, but for him, it's the right time.
True.
And that's okay. I'm okay with that. Like I've already come. It's not even been 24 hours. It's not even been 12 hours since he's announced it, and I've already come to terms with it. But I cannot imagine what Madridistas are. They're probably beside themselves right now. There's probably tears in the streets of Madrid, and maybe tears of happiness on the Atleti side. I don't know. But when it comes down to it, this guy was a legend for the club. No, he was not the legend. Obviously, there have been many legends before him, but clearly top 3, top 4 in Real Madrid history. And I hope his next chapter grabs more eyeballs than it does dollar signs.
I think it's top 5 in Real Madrid history, Breton. I still put like Zidane, Di Stefano, Cristiano, like even Sergio Ramos maybe.
Sergio Ramos,
legacy. But you mentioned Benzema is gonna leave Real Madrid with 5 Ballon d'Ors. He's gonna win 5 Ballon d'Ors. No. Karim Benzema is gonna leave Real Madrid with 5 Champions Leagues.
That's huge.
1 Ballon d'Or, 353 goals scored, 165 assists, 25 trophies in all of this, and helping and maintaining the Galacto mentality in the locker room. He was not mocking, he was judging Vinicius Jr. at the start, and look how Vinicius Jr. is playing now. The development.
Yeah.
So I think this summer's
and like
be
maybe that was the deciding factor. I mean, the fact that it wasn't just last season, it wasn't a flash in the pan for Vinny. It was the fact that he followed it up with almost an even better season, higher leadership qualities coming out of Vinny this season. He's taking on the racism. He's taken on pretty much the headline risk of being a black player in La Liga right now, and he's done it with sheer admiration, just iron will. I think Karim Benzema almost is like. He's the Obi-Wan Kenobi to the Skywalker. He's looking at Vinny and saying, he's got this, man. He's got this. I can move. I can go on. I can do my own thing. Well, listen, Benzema. I don't know if they'll ever admit it. I don't know whatever the internal dynamics, but it feels like Benzema had almost just as much to do with Vinny's development than Carlo Ancelotti. True. And that's huge.
I think Florentino Perez has assured the Barca management and board, Vinicius Jr., Hendrik, Rodrigo, these Brazilian players have the potential to be the best. Well, so let's give them everything possible for them to become the best players in the world, which is scary. It's scary. But when you hear about
last thing,
sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, but last thing that you sort of alluded to it before, but I just want to kind of tie it up with the bow here. Benzema leaving is also on the cusp of all these strikers being available. All of these not just, promising strikers, all of these world-class strikers. So I wonder how much of that in internal conversations, either in Benzema's head or, with the top brass at Real Madrid, were like, yeah, now is the time to strike, but we need financial guarantees. We need financial room to be able to explore this, because as far as it's going, with Osimhen out there potentially, Harry Kane out there, Dusan Vlahovic out there, Jonathan David. Okay, some of these names are not like the others,
No,
but when it comes down to it, this is the hottest striker market. And they know that they need not just to replace him, but they also need to support their next striker, their next big striker, and they needed the financial wherewithal to be able to go out there into the market to compete. So a lot of this kind of comes at the right time. It comes at the right time.
Gonçalo Ramos, pá. Gonçalo Ramos.
Oh, him too. Yeah. But I'm gonna say it, like, Harry Kane to Real Madrid is like now a possible thing.
Very
That's
possible.
weird.
Very possible.
But it's very possible.
And marketing-wise, I think Real Madrid would be very smart if they get not just Jude Bellingham, but Harry Kane too. The two best Englishmen are now at Real Madrid and would definitely mark a new era at Real Madrid. It would. People would be watching Real now with the Englishmen. Curiosity will hit this peak because Real Madrid needs to compete against Lewandowski and Pedri. And the best two players are Englishmen. And I'm shocked to say that with Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane. That it would be the duo to compete with Lewandowski and Pedri. I love how you mentioned that. But a player, I think they will sign two strikers this summer. It's not that it's obvious, people. Mariano Diaz left, Asensio left, Benzema. So definitely going to sign two forwards. But I think it'll be two strikers. And one of them must be a player like Harry Kane, Gonçalo Ramos, or a Victor Osimhen, or even Dusan Vlahovic. And the other striker will have to be a player like Firmino, a player like maybe Kai Havertz, adaptable to different positions too. So I believe Richarlison that have a tough season at Tottenham. I think these will be two different types of strikers signed. And that is needed for Real Madrid, because even when they had Benzema, they didn't have an alternative. So if they're having a clean slate and they're signing new strikers, they definitely have to get two to compensate a Ballon d'Or player leaving like Benzema. It has to be an assurity. Because Barca will be dominating La Liga next season if they don't sign anyone. And Man City showed this season that they will dominate next season too with Guardiola and Haaland, because they ain't leaving. They ain't leaving. So this is... No. But Jude Bellingham, you really believe it's locked in to Real Madrid?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we all saw the video of him, kind of kissing goodbye, lingering out on the pitch after they bungled that Bundesliga title. Still not over that. But yes, I do feel like Bellingham is locked up. I think he's going to Real Madrid. I think a lot of it is going to be, I don't think the fee is going to be as high as people expect it to be. I think, it's not going to be 150, 160. It'll be all variables. It'll be all performance structures. It'll be all good stuff like that, which is kind of what you need if you're going to have the ability to go after a high-profile striker as well. So it might not just be one Englishman. It might be two Englishmen at the Bernabeu, which I don't know. When's the last time that was done?
I agree. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I really don't know.
South Beckham... Wasn't there another Englishman
Hargreaves
at Real Madrid?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that. But what I gotta say too, come on.
Yeah.
Daniel Levy. Real Madrid has given so much to you. They've gained so much money with Modric, with Bale. Just give them something back. Just give them something back with Kane too. Come on. Just sell Kane to Real. It's better than selling to another Premier League team. And given the history of both clubs, I think that should happen. That should happen. Yeah. And it will happen, maybe. But tell us down below in the comment section, do you believe that Real Madrid are going to get Kane? Who do you believe they're going to sign? And this Real Madrid new era. It's going to be tough.
Michael Owen. Owen was the other one that I was thinking of. Michael Owen. Yeah.
Ooh, what a player.
All right. Well, where do you want to go from here, man? Well, where do you want to go from here?
I just want to mention this team because if we're mentioning iconic summer, which was with Karim the Dream, Cristiano Ronaldo, Xabi Alonso, Kaká, didn't work out as people thought. Yeah. Another iconic summer. Well, I'm laughing because they had only potential, okay? An iconic summer with Wijnaldum, But the big names come with Donnarumma, Hakimi, Lionel Messi.
Ay,
They
ay,
didn't
ay.
manage to get it done. They didn't. With Sergio Ramos,
No.
all announced from that PSG picture, and they didn't manage to impress. And I think Galtier is one of the reasons too, Breton. I'm sorry to say it.
Ah.
Galtier isn't a manager that leads the way for a Champions League winning team. And even
Well-
philosophy-wise, there's big confrontations with ideology in the backroom
Yeah.
staff says. So I don't know. I think he really isn't that guy.
I don't know if anyone is the guy. I mean, with the way PSG is run, right? And with the way the supporters support the team, and with the way, like, it's a very, very different feel than some homegrown type of grassroots type of build from the bottom up type of thing. No, this is all like, come on, they just brought in, they locked in one of the most iconic players of the recent times. They locked in two of the most iconic players of the last 15 years in Neymar and Messi, and they still couldn't get it done. And I don't know if it all falls on Galtier, but there is no doubt when it comes to him that they just, even though they won, like, scraped it out by 1 point above Lyon, or Lens. Somebody actually told us it's Lens, which is interesting. Thank you, Mr. Commenter. I forget your name and I should give you credit, but thank you for that. And please correct us more. But they conceded more goals in Ligue 1 than they have in a very long time. They were they were like maybe fifth best defense in the league, and they score all these goals when things are said and done, and they only beat Lens by 1 point.
True.
1 point. So I'm with you. I still think Galtier is a very capable manager. I mean, hell, what he has done previously, that's fine. I just don't know who is supposed to take the reins of a team that has no ideology. There is no ideology.
I agree.
There is no common thread.
But
there is none.
But PSG was founded, I think, in the 1980s too. And I think that that offers, like, the culture of football is... Yeah, I think they're starting it and getting the Frenchman Mbappe that's so proud of it. He just has to be the key. Mbappe has to leave PSG as the most iconic player ever in the history of the club if PSG's culture is going to change. And that's why they have to invest in a team around him the proper way. And Galtier with PSG, yes, only 1 point above Lens. Champions League disappointment. Coupe de France disappointment, losing to Marseille. That's disappointing in my opinion. And yes, he suffered so many goals. 40 goals conceded with players like Marquinhos, Sergio Ramos, Donnarumma. That's a consequence of no organization. That's why Galtier out. Galtier is more than out. So get my guy.
So who's in, Alex?
I thought it was Mourinho. Alex? I thought it would be Mourinho before that Anthony Taylor problems. I think Mourinho.
Don't get me started.
I think Mourinho acted poorly after the game. I think many managers in the history of football, I think more managers maybe in the past had that behavior than not. Because the cameras weren't there. But since the cameras are there, the attention is there. The money is different too because of that. So he has to act differently. And he has to be respectful at all times. So Mourinho, you are an icon. So people will follow you. And that's why I think PSG are out because of that. Just that what happened. Nasser Khelafi is the owner of a media company. He's the owner of a media company. Things like that ruin chances for a manager to go to PSG, in my opinion.
But the name being thrown out there right now is not the name. I don't need to see Nagelsmann at PSG.
I think it will happen though, Bretson.
I know, but I don't need to see it.
Refuses Chelsea. Like I think PSG's the option. Tuchel, he went to PSG. Others went to PSG, but they didn't win the Champions League. So I think this young mentality, maybe Nagelsmann coming through, Thierry too being the assistant manager of this Nagelsmann team, as a lot of reports are suggesting. That's fun, man. That's fun. That's a new era. I'd like to see that happen personally, at least for the next season. How will they hit the transfer market? It'd be interesting. I think it'd be interesting.
Well, it would be interesting. I mean, Nagelsmann doesn't exactly know, but I'll tell you what. I liked the idea of them kind of staying more insular, staying more Ligue 1, in that sense. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen because I think that once They've opened Pandora's box in the sense that they want to be global. They want superstars. They want this. And if you go back in one season, well, I don't know. There's a perfect cop out here because you're not going to replace Messi. You're not replacing Neymar in terms of what they can do on the ball necessarily. So you almost have to kind of look more internally about, okay, we can't replace him for the name and the pizzazz and the buying power necessarily. So how do we do it? And if you look there are so many young strikers, so many young players within Ligue 1 right now that likely deserve a larger platform beyond PSG and Lens both going to the Champions League, right? And who else? I forget who the third one is.
It's good shouts. You're mentioning well. I agree with you. Like Zaire Emery, other youngsters.
Yeah.
Vitinha, I think will be very important, especially if Verratti leaves. I think
I
completely agree. Completely agree.
Yeah, but I mean, like maybe you bought Ekatike, give him a role, let him fly, but fill him with. Yeah, well, their first signing is already going to be, it looks like, Marco Asensio on free.
That's a good one.
Not bad.
Not Ugarte.
Yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy, not Ugarte. But we'll get to that. But listen, I want to see something different with PSG because the whole bring as many stars in as we most possibly can, whether they're aging, whether they can't even get on the field for 4 months like Sergio Ramos, whatever. Just stop it. Stop name stacking and start actually buying quality players or developing quality players. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But Nagelsmann maybe could push them a little bit further in that direction. I don't know.
I agree. And I want to give a special mention to a player that deserves it with Lionel Messi and all this. Lionel Messi will leave PSG, and in his last season, he's the only player in the top 5 leagues with 20 goals and 20 assists. More than 20 goals, more than 20 assists in Liga.
There you go.
Okay? That's a massive role, and that's why he gets 400 million maybe a season and he goes to Saudi. Let's wait and see if that happens.
But buddy, come on, you and I. Listen, I know Benzema and Messi in the Saudi league, fine. But come on, you and I can get allied on this. We can get behind Lionel Messi coming to Inter Miami and getting loaned out to Barcelona for a year.
I can get behind that, but do I think Messi will look? If Messi gets 400 million and he gives 200 to Barca.
Yeah.
I'm joking. That won't happen.
He might be able to afford that. Give him a piece of the Apple TV MLS rights, and maybe you've got something cooking here. I don't know. But come on. I think there are ways. I think Lionel Messi will be fought hard for in Major League Soccer. Why? Because I know we want to talk about the Saudi bid potentially for World Cup, and we can talk about it in future dates. But 2026 World Cup is right around the corner, okay? And the biggest statement, and I think even other MLS clubs would be in on this, because remember, all of these clubs essentially report to MLS. This is still a single entity structure, okay? All contracts are essentially Major League Soccer contracts. They're not Inter Miami.
It won't happen, Bretson. I really.
Why do you say that? The same way Declan Rice won't go to Bayern? Is that what you're saying? It can happen. It can happen. I think you forget the amount of money that is behind these clubs, that the only reason they can't spend the money is due to not enough eyeballs being on it. But they're not going to mess up the financial landscape of Major League Soccer and soccer incrementally growing, not exponentially growing, incrementally growing in the States. They're not going to mess it up, the future of it, to just throw 400 million for a 2-year Benzema, or throw $1 billion to get Messi and his family to take a few pictures in Saudi Arabia. I don't think it's going to happen.
Look, Cristiano Ronaldo was first. Cristiano Ronaldo's first. I think Benzema is going to follow through. I think Kante is going to follow through. I think Messi is going to follow through. And even after, players like Modric maybe will follow through.
Kante should follow through. The guy can't stay healthy. If he can get 100 million, by all means, do it. Do it and smile for the cameras. Exactly. I'm all for it, but don't. N'Golo Kante has nothing to do with Benzema, has nothing to do with Messi, and has nothing to do with Ronaldo.
I get you. But I wanted to give that special mention. And with PSG people, put down below, who do you think will manage PSG and what will happen with transfers too? We're very curious to see that. But we've got a special mention here at the end of the pod this is a huge topic, transfers related. Big boy transfers 11 that we think will happen this summer that are inevitable, Breton. Like and subscribe for more videos like this, people. Go bold in the comment section with those transfer suggestions.
Please.
Want to see that.
This was hard, man. There's too many players that I just really, really like. I don't know how you went about this, but I'm all over the place. Like usual. I'm all over the place. But my tactic is somewhere between players I think need a move and players I really want to see make a
formation.
Move.
Sorry.
4-3-3. 4-3-3.
We have the same.
We
have the same. So goalkeeper, I think we'll have the same maybe. I'll again show my bias, but I think goalkeeper transfer 11 inevitable to move. It's that release clause of 75 million. Diogo Costa of Porto.
Okay.
I think the move is inevitable, Premier League bound. And I just want to point out something. People need to focus more on the fact that Hugo Lloris will leave Tottenham. I cannot remember Tottenham winning games without Lloris, man. I cannot remember Gomez in the past, others in the past, but Lloris was a statement signing and a legend. So they need a goalkeeper. Wanted to mention that. Man United and Tottenham. So
Well, maybe they could steal Donnarumma off of PSG for cheap because he was horrendous against Clermont in that last game.
Onana, maybe they'll steal Onana from Inter. I think that.
And I was kidding.
But Donnarumma, he shouldn't be happy where he is, and we've already seen Keylor Navas at Forest.
And he's gone too. But like Donnarumma, I feel like there's been a little bit of a regression here. But listen, my goalkeeper's not Diogo Costa because I knew you were going to pick Diogo Costa, but he is the biggest name out there. The other one I got to throw out there is in Ligue 1. Nantes, only a couple years removed, if that, from winning the Coupe de France in shock fashion, rode the coattails of a really, really good young goalkeeper in Albin Lafont. He has not been as good for Nantes this past season. In fact, they've been horrendous, barely surviving relegation. But Albin Lafont still has a lot of tools that could really be good for a club. It'll be a little more of a project. He's still young. Albin Lafont is my transfer 11 goalkeeper. Where he's going to go, I have no clue. But, Spurs, you could throw a flyer on him. I don't know.
He showed potential. He had a bit of regression, but he improved a lot. I like that. I like that show, what you mentioned with defenders. And goalkeepers, too. It ain't easy. So put in the comment section, people, goalkeepers that you think will move in this transfer window. Oh, want to say Livakovic. Livakovic, I think Villarreal will be the club that he goes to. So finally, someone signing this goalkeeper. One of the most underrated, in my opinion. In the World Cup, he went bold with Croatia. Dinamo Zagreb managed to keep him until 27. They're lucky. What a player. What a player. So, defenders, I have Diogo Costa in goal. I have at left back, Rafael Guerreiro. My two center backs, Joško Gvardiol and Julian Timber. And my right back, Jeremy Frimpong. But it was hard, man, not to put Min Jae Kim and Kerkez, man. I'll be honest, personally.
Well, we've got a lot that is the same here, except for the left back, I'm going to go with the Wonderkid. I'm going to go with Milos Kerkez because Kerkez might not be going to Benfica now, which opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Or Benfica might come back with a better one, and it could be Newcastle exactly. I'm going to say at center back, I'm going to go Joško Gvardiol and Levi Colwill. So with a little bit of a Wonderkid tilt. Is he going to go back to Chelsea, or what price will it take for maybe Brighton to pry him away or somebody else to pry Levi Colwill away? They refuse 30, which that's a lot. That's what is it going to take if it doesn't take 30 for a guy that played well for Brighton, but he wasn't wasn't William Saliba-ing,
he's under 20
the Premier
in
League.
English, and I'm being honest, Antonio Silva will only leave Benfica this summer for 100 million. So Levi Colwill, minimal, I'd say 50. But if I'm Chelsea, I'm keeping him. I think they should. I think it could be seen as a transfer, though, Bretson. An amazing loan move. Comes back to Chelsea, and he does good. He does good. And with Rafael Guerreiro, I know Kerkez may be going to Newcastle. Newcastle because Benfica maybe are opting and getting Jordi Alba. That Grimaldo came from La Masia in the past. Jordi Alba is more of an immediate impact player, and with Roger Schmidt, I really think that is a bold possibility. So because if it's 15 million for Kirkes and Jordi Alba costs the same all 2-3 years he's there, like I'm getting maybe Alba. I'm getting maybe Alba.
Get them both.
No,
just kidding.
You can't do that. If you can,
I know.
Can't do that.
but all right. So my defense, I've got Kirkes, I've got Gavardiol, I've got Levi Colville, and I know you had Frimpong, so I will throw out there. I'm going to go a little U.S. bias here. I'm going to say Serginho Dest needs a move. He is one of many Americans that need a move. One of many Americans that had a very troublesome post World Cup, and I am not afraid to say it. I am worried. Okay, they're all young, but there are a lot of American internationals that need moves this offseason, and not moves in a positive light. Like, oh, wait, you did really, really well. You're going to move on to a bigger club. No, I mean, like, you need to move on in order to play, and Serginho Dest is one of them. Now, biased, yes, but Serginho Dest has shown some really, really, really good things in the past. Why he got frozen out so hard at AC Milan is a little bit surprising to me, but there is talk that he might be going to Union Berlin, who plays pretty staunch defense, so I'm not entirely sure why Serginho Dest might be there, but hey, it's a place.
He'll play
3 center backs, right.
He'll play the whole way.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting one, because what Dest offers best is his offensive capability. Defensively,
true.
He's very, I'm not going to say very bad, but he's mediocre to the standards of other fullbacks. So I think if he goes to Union Berlin, that's the right move, man. Go for it. Champions League football too. You will be a key piece. Like, come on, Jugla, just talk about.
I know. I'm wishy-washy with it. I'm wishy-washy. I do share a little bit of sentiment there. I like that you are positive about it. So you and I'll be talking to you more about Dest in the future. I just want to see him play. He deserves to play. He's good enough to play somewhere. Very clearly, if it's not Barcelona, fine. If it's not AC Milan, fine. But find a home. Only other one I got to throw out there that should be getting a move on merit, I just don't know where to, is Lens had the best defense by far in Ligue 1. And Facundo Medina, who's 24 years old, he could play center back, left back. He's an Argentine international. Definitely deserves a shout, okay? Him and Kevin Danso were two of the largest, like, holy crap, these guys are actually pretty good. Kevin Danso used to be in the Premier League and did jack. He did nothing. Okay, so Medina at left back is kind of my older pick for left back, and one that I don't know where to. So I'd love to hear anyone out there where the next good step for Facundo Medina, because I think you could get him for 10 to 15. And then the right back that is not U.S. biased is the one that's on the tip of everybody's tongue, and that's Ivan Fresneda from Real Valladolid. Very, very interesting prospect. Kind of tapered off near the end of the year, but he has a lot of qualities that had Arsenal sniffing around for a long period of time, and we'll see if they actually come back to that with Tomiyasu's issues, with a lot of issues that they have in the fullback region. It'll be interesting.
Cedric's leaving to Arsenal. So,
and Cedric's leaving,
Well pointed out. I think right back will be fullback, definitely. They sign Zinchenko. I think they'll get another one. So great shouts, Breton. So tell us down below what defenders you think are definitely getting a move this summer. But midfield. Midfield was my headache. Why? Because
it's impossible.
The options. It's I think it'll be clear. I think it'll be clear, but I get you. Definitely some big doubts to where they land too. Because Mason Mount, he can be a very different player if he's with Ten Hag or with Klopp too. So I just wanted to say. So, but my trio of midfielders that are definitely getting a move this summer, that are bold and one of the best, it's Ugarte going to Chelsea maybe. Declan Rice, whoever gets them, they're so lucky. And obviously Jude Bellingham, the leader and the future of England in action. So those are the
midfield
three. The big three, Ugarte, Declan, and Jude.
What a midfield. What a midfield. Well, like, I can't say the same ones that you're saying, right?
Well, do you have that midfield with the starting at least? Is that your starting midfield?
Of course I do. Ugarte, I mean, the only other person I'd throw in there, maybe instead of Ugarte.
No, sorry.
is Kai. I throw Caicedo
Oh,
in there.
Caicedo's moving. True.
Because he's going to be a big number. Now,
True.
there
You're
is some doubts being thrown on that. I don't know what Brighton is doing. I don't know if they're like spiking their drinks or something over there to maybe make them, I don't know, like giving them love potion, make them want to say some
Alternatives.
quotes that say, I could stay at Brighton. I could stay another season and see what Europe is like, see what Europa Conference League. But McAllister into Liverpool was thrown into a little bit of I still think it's going to get over the line, but it has been thrown into a little bit of uncertainty, right?
It's true. And Bretson, for me, it's worrying for every other Premier League team. If the Serbi's already saying we're planning on Caicedo and McAllister leaving this summer, it's because they already have in their planning to better alternatives. That's what I really believe of this Brighton team. They found Mitoma, Enciso, Evan Ferguson from the academy. Buenanote is already there developing. Kozlowski, forgotten. Adingra, forgotten. So if they already admit that they're going to get Caicedo out, that is scary. And great that you're mentioning that. But other midfielders, for me, the midfielder, if I was a director of sport of a top European team, the midfielder that I would get this summer would be Orkun Koksu. He'd cost 30 to 40 million, and he's the perfect, well-balanced midfielder. Captain of Feyenoord, which they couldn't stop winning this season. He can assist, he can score, and he's in the Turkey international too. Koksu is a bargain for whoever gets him. Wanted to give a special mention to Koksu.
I'm with you, and I've got a couple special mentions here. Kefren Turam is somebody that Liverpool's been looking at. Kefren Turam, if you watch Nice this past season, you'll know exactly what makes Turam special. I do think he will get a move to Liverpool, to the Premier League. Not entirely sure on that one, but he is up there. He's like not more potential, but similar potential to some of these guys we've already mentioned, but is not really close. Like his actual current ability is nowhere close to Caicedo, right? So Thuram is one that you got to watch, and we're not talking Marcus Thuram, who also has to make a decision, his brother. But the other ones, like Sofiane Amrabat, haven't seen any movement on him. He's been good for Fiorentina, phenomenal for Morocco, and might win the UEFA Europa Conference League soon enough. We'll see what happens and whether or not that keeps him around. But Amrabat has been out there, and he's been linked to a whole lot of people. And then the other guy that has tapered off near the end of the season is Manu Kone. Manu Kone in the Bundesliga for like 90% of the Bundesliga season was considered a top midfielder. Kind of tapered off some as Gladbach was terrible in that final stretch. They fired Daniel Farke. They're moving on. They've got a weird restructuring. It would make sense for them to sell Manu Kone when they can and get some money. But Manu Kone is top, he's just progressive as all progressive can be. He dribbles, he tackles, he's wonderful in that sense. I guess you could be a little worried about size maybe, but when it comes down to it, Manu Kone would be a great signing for a whole lot of people in there. So those are like the lesser names. The only other one I got to mention before you move on, because we barely mentioned Mason Mount.
Mason, No.
Mason Mount to Manchester United. I think Mason Mount to Manchester United is a great shout. I think Ten Hag would do wonders with him. I honestly do. I really think it would be great.
Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes.
I could get behind that.
Can they win the Premier League with this trio?
That depends on the striker.
Harry Kane.
Well, yeah. I mean, it got that. Dude, the interplay there. Wait.
I think. Look, that's the answers, though. I think they need a center back. I think they need another right back, and they need a striker in the midfield. If that striker in midfield is Mason Mount and Kane, that's good. That's a good force to go against Haaland and Bruyne. But I don't know if it's enough, personally. I don't know
if it's enough either. I also don't know if Chelsea is, if he's completely closed the door on Chelsea right now. But if Chelsea doesn't give Cesare Casadei some sort of shot, I need Cesare Casadei to get some sort of shot with Chelsea next season. That's what I care about.
Man. This Casadei kid, special player. 6 goals, 1 assist, one of the best players in the Under-20 World Cup. Pochettino, you know what to do. That can be one of the signings of Chelsea if it goes right in the preseason. Great mention. And I want to say, too, DFB Pokal happened, and transfers that can happen in this. And midfielders there. Dominik Szoboszlai. RB Leipzig won back-to-back DF Pokals because they have Nkunku, Szoboszlai, and Gvardiol. All players that are players to move in this transfer window. Great ball mentions. The team that would sell in the past was Dortmund. Leipzig is fundamentally following the same system. So I wanted to give a special credit because 70 million release clause with Szoboszlai. Great midfielder.
That's huge. Yeah, Newcastle, right? Is that what we're talking about?
That would be right.
But of course, Szoboszlai and Nkunku were huge on the day in that win over Eintracht Frankfurt, right? So it is really interesting to me that the guys that already knew or likely have already decided that they'll be exiting RB Leipzig after winning their second trophy in club history in a row, obviously the DFB Pokal, that those guys still wanted to go out in style. They went out in style, lifting a trophy. And on the other side, Eintracht Frankfurt is also, they've got Daichi Kamada. He's leaving. Randall Kolo Muani, Evan Ndika. They're all leaving as well. So you've got like
they signed
a little bit of a...
They signed Hugo Larsson.
They did sign Hugo Larsson. They signed, they signed William Pacho from Royal Antwerp. Paxton Aronson's in there, but I'm angry that Paxton Aronson is not with our boys at the U20 World Cup, and he got no minutes in the DFB Pokal final. Like, why have him there if, I guess a final is quite an experience.
No,
but whatever.
But Paxton Aronson with this under 20 U.S. men's national team would definitely make them even more contenders with 0 goals suffered until now. Until this game.
Dude. They're going up against Fabrizio Diaz and Uruguay. But listen, when it comes down to RB Leipzig, I will be very interested what Leipzig is like next season without Nkunku, without Szoboszlai, potentially without Gvardiol. And Leimer. They've already signed Nicholas Siewald from Salzburg and Sesko from Salzburg. But that's like putting a lot on their shoulders in that step up from Salzburg to Leipzig. So it'll be really interesting to see what RB does in this transfer window.
That's a great show with
really
with Sesko. I really believe Sesko will manage to replace Nkunku because Sesko will be the top goal scorer maybe in the Bundesliga next season. More than 20 goals, I'm predicting already. More than 20 goals for this kid. Yeah.
That's confidence.
He'd be the golden boot this season with that. So
that's confidence.
But strikers. Trio forwards, sorry. There's a lot of mentions, definitely strikers that we can talk for days here. But
too many.
I'm going to mention a player that I just hope he goes to Barca. I know it's very hard for it to happen, but Bernard Silva. Please, Bernard Silva, go to Barcelona. This is the season. You win a treble with Man City. Just go to Barca and live the good life. And have another rebuild that you are involved with Xavi Ball, Pedri, Gavi, Lewandowski. The options. So please, Ronaldo Araújo Conde. I wanted to give a special credit.
And in order to make it happen, Bernardo, please take a 75% pay cut. Whatever you do.
No,
I'm
not
kidding.
70.
I'm kidding.
You're kidding. Because
I'm
they're
just joking.
Man. They're paying good.
I know they're paying. I know they're paying good.
No Messi there. No PK contract there. They're like we got to no Busquets contract. No.
Yeah.
There's what the players that are leaving La Liga, the contracts being released. So the youth players, even let's see, and the midfielders. We forgot to say Gabri Veiga. They were huge supporters.
Duh.
Gabri Veiga.
I'm a huge supporter of him. Yeah. There's also a possibility you see him in the Premier League. We'll
30
see.
million release clause. Newcastle. You're doing wonders in scouting if you get Gabri Veiga. Brun Guimarães, Gabri Veiga, Kerkez may be coming through. Unbelievable recruitment and scouting. Wanted to point that out once again.
Well, they already got this Gambian winger, 18-year-old Minte from Odense in the Danish Superliga for like 6-7 million. So that's the type of scouting that like he's probably not going to be whatever for the next couple seasons. But they've already got their like stocks high. Stock's going to get higher. If he never plays for Newcastle, but we can sell him for 15 and we bought him for 7, we've done good. We've done good by our shareholders. So, yeah, I know there's no shareholders. But anyway, man, the wingers, the strikers, this is the hardest of the bunch, easily.
I mentioned Bernard Silva first. So who'd you have one of the wings?
You already know one of them. I mean, Christian Pulisic needs a move like 6 months ago. needs a move. Okay,
Pulisic
and
credit.
I think yes, there's a bias here, right? I've said Dest, but Christian Pulisic is the guy that kind of ushered in this I wouldn't call it a golden, this silver generation, whatever you want to call it,
Golden.
with the U.S. team. I mean, he opened the pathway, moving as a 15-year-old to Dortmund, making his debut at 16 years old at Dortmund, and 8 years later, he's found himself frozen out at Chelsea. It's time to move, and a lot of that is injuries. But he can still obviously be a massive, massive player for somebody either in the Premier League or likely in like somewhere like Milan or somewhere like or
Juve.
Inter or Juve or wherever. I just need to see a move, and if he doesn't move, I will be very, very sad. But he will move. I have no doubt that Christian Pulisic will make a move this summer.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I understand your special mention with Pulisic. He was an icon. He was an icon for the U.S. at a given moment. So let's see if he gets that back, because you have McKennie, you have Gio Reyna, you have a lot of quality youngsters.
Mexico on the horizon.
Oh,
we'll see.
Yes, good mention. But I want to say, if this is true, if the rumors in Italy that are suggesting Chiesa leaving for 35-40 million Juventus, that would be a bargain for Liverpool, Bayern Munich, whoever signs him. Remember that Euro. The ACLs are taking us away. One of the best Italian players I've seen in recent history. Please, Chiesa, make the right decision and leave Juve with Allegri ball. It just won't work out. Just like you say with Pulisic, maybe Pulisic goes to Juve to replace Chiesa. That's why I'm mentioning this. But if the rumors are true, go to Bayern Munich. Go to Bayern Munich. Because Sadio Mane is leaving. Chiesa, just go to Bayern Munich.
Or you get, well, you could wait till Nagelsmann gets in at PSG, and maybe Nagelsmann wants Chiesa. But no, I think with Juve, it kind of makes sense for them. They've invested, well, no, or does it not make sense? They've invested so much time and patience and support and whatever into Chiesa to get him back to where he needs to be. And I don't know, do you monetize him right now and bring in the 30-40 million? Or do you let him become, who you think he's going to be for the club in the future? But
Fagioli was the best youngster of Serie A. Okay, Kvisha was the best player. That's why he was the best youngster, Fagioli. And they have Miretti. Yeah. They have other Sole too. They have other players that maybe they'll be focusing. So
we'll see.
It's a clean slate. If Vlahovic leaves, if we're talking strikers, we gotta say, maybe if Vlahovic leaves, Chiesa leaves, McKennie leaves, this is a whole different Juventus team. Allegri should leave. Allegri should leave. That's the way you solve Juventus. But that's a whole different topic, man.
But he's not.
Man. But he's maybe. Yeah. Well, I hope. Let's see. This summer is a big summer. They still don't have a sporting director, Juve. Giantoli of Napoli is rumoredly going there, and if he does, he'll sack on the spot Allegri. On the spot. Yeah, well. But strikers, Breton. I think Harry Kane is the best striker, right? Where do we think Harry Kane will go?
Unless you think somebody can convince Benzema to head somewhere else.
Well,
then the Saudi league. But because it hasn't been, the ink hasn't dried just yet. He hasn't announced it just yet. But yes, Harry Kane with his 30 goals in the Premier League, and obviously what else he offers. Real Madrid seems like in the pole position right now. Mm-hmm. Manchester United, they'd be stupid if they weren't going to spend money on him.
If Man United,
unless of course they go after Osimhen instead.
If Man United doesn't get Osimhen or Kane, who should they go for?
Yeah. Oh man, you're killing me.
I think it's Rasmus Winterholland or Gonçalo Ramos. Those are the two best options if they don't land these two players, in my opinion. Youth,
but
ambition.
I could see them going after Kolo Muani as well. I mean, Randall Kolo Muani.
He's not better than
there's a lot there, but there is a lot there. There is a lot there, and there's a link up there that I think. I don't know. Kolo Muani did a lot for Frankfurt. He was very clearly one of the best, if not top 3 in the Bundesliga this past season. Goals and assists. Very, very involved.
Look, maybe I'll go both here for some people, but I would rather get Santiago Giménez than Randall Kolo Muani. Randall Kolo Muani is going to be more expensive, and even Winterholland I'd rather get than Kolo Muani. These are pure finishers. And I believe in their potential. I really believe in their potential.
Okay.
Rasmus
Well, there's
Wiener
others.
Holland is one of the biggest bargains in the market, considering that Osimhen, Gonçalo Ramos, Kane will all cost 100 million or more. Rasmus will be half the price, a lot of potential, and will be the star of Denmark in the future. And he's already proven himself with Atalanta de Serie A. For me, in my opinion.
It does still seem, well, I don't know if he's already proven himself for Atalanta, but he has done a whole lot. And absolute, like him and Ademola, he even said it himself, right? Us going back and forth with him. He said, like, Ademola Lookman was completely overlooked, and Atalanta turned him into a stud this past season. And Holland was great in the Austrian Bundesliga, and he's already leveled up at Atalanta. And what could he do if he winds up in the Premier League? It's a very intriguing thought. I have similar thoughts, though, about a guy like Nicholas Jackson at Villarreal, potentially going to a place like Real Madrid as that backup striker spot.
What?
Or Gift Orban. Gift Orban going from Ghent. This kid's scored more goals than most people score in a season. He scored him in a half season going to Napoli or going somewhere else as a replacement either for Osimhen or as a project. But there are so many names that, yes, Harry Kane is not the same as Gift Orban, but the intrigue around the names and the actual depth in this striker field, you have everything you've ever wanted. You've got a guy with high potential, high ceiling, good goal scoring capabilities in the Belgian Pro League, or you've got ridiculously expensive but phenomenal output and legend at Spurs. Type of situation. You literally have every flavor of candy in the candy store when it comes to being a striker in this year's transfer window. And we haven't even talked about where Firmino goes, where Lukaku goes, where Jonathan David wants to leave Lille, probably should leave Lille, where he could level up next. Balogun, 21 goals in Ligue 1. There's so much intrigue around the strikers. I have a feeling we could do a segment every episode this summer on just strikers and where they wind up.
That's true. A lot of strikers. Firmino, I believe you go to Real Madrid. Harry Kane, I also think he should be going to Real Madrid. But if not, come on, Man United. That is...
I like it.
If Harry Kane goes to Man United, it gives me the whole vibes. The whole vibes of when Van Persie went there.
Be huge.
And he left the London club too. So, but I really think Daniel Levy will not let that happen.
But if Harry Kane goes and Firmino goes to the Bernabeu, does that Vitor Roca? He's heading to Barca or is he heading to Real Madrid?
Well,
I think
Xavi,
they're both in the running still.
No,
they're both in the running.
Please go to Barca, Vitor Roque. But Xavi answered to the speculation about Vitor Roque, saying, first, we got to move for a defensive mid. That's our priority, which I completely understand. And it's Kimmich.
Yes.
We didn't say, but it's unlikely still. This day, what day is today? It's unlikely still on the 4th of June that Kimmich goes to Barca. But I hope it becomes likely in the future. I just want to mention that. So if that were to happen, that would change a lot. Vitor Roque. So after the CDM, they'll start focusing on him. So I think that's the conversation. So you're 11, Breton. What is it?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I can. Okay, here we go. Let's see. My 11 is, because I got so many names listed here. My 11 is Albin Lafont, goalkeeper. My left back is Kerkez. My center backs are Levi Colwill and Josko Gvardiol. My right back is, Serginho Dest. My midfield, I didn't even really get to pick my midfield. My midfield is Caicedo, it's Rice, and it is Jude Bellingham. So I just took yours, basically. And my forward line is Pulisic. I'll say, come on, you're going to say Harry Kane, so I'll say Osimhen. And then my right wing actually is Moussa Diaby.
Okay.
I think he needs to leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good 11. So my transfer 11 of players that are going to move this summer, or I sure hope it's some. So with goalkeeper Diogo Costa, Rafael Guerreiro left back, with Gvardiol and Timber at center back, then my right back, Jeremy Frimpong, and then the three in midfield. I'm going to go bold with Ugart, Jude Bellingham, and Declan Rice, and the trio of forwards with Kane and Nkunku a guarantee, and come on, Bernard Silva, go to Barca. You will be happy there. And a Champions League contending team with Conde, Ronaldo Araújo, Gavi, Pedri, Lewandowski. A start of a rebuild. Come on. But yes, with all this emotion, we want to see your 11s in the comment section. We really want to see of transfers that you know will be on the move. Like the video. Go bold, people. Woo!
One last thing before you sign off. If you're not watching the U20 World Cup, please go do it. Because we have to give a shout out before we leave today, ending 108. Got to give a shout out to the Israelis in a ridiculous shock 3-2 win over Brazil, sending them to the semifinals in the first time they've ever qualified for the U20 World Cup. And on top of that, the Israelis are missing their best player in Oscar Glauc, who plays for RB Salzburg. Okay? So that in and of itself is absolutely cool. USA versus Uruguay is coming up very shortly. This is the fourth. We'll know if they're going to be semifinalists, but the U.S. have yet to concede, and a lot of that has to do with a couple center backs, one of which might be on his way to Benfica.
Joshua
on his way to Benfica.
I think it's guaranteed already.
Yeah, Joshua Binder.
He's going to Benfica, bro.
Well, good.
Binder, yeah.
Good. I hope, like I said previously, I hope he, whatever time Antonio Silva has left at Benfica, if it's another season and a half, I hope he soaks up as much as he can. But another quick shout out, Colombia, Italy was a hell of a game as well. Cazadei is a beast. Tommaso Baldanzi is a beast as well. But you have to definitely mention one of the best players in the tournament has been Oscar Cortez, who is 19 years old. He's a cam for Colombia, and he is somebody that should also be making a move post. I think he's Millonarios, but he definitely should be making a move post tournament. And that's before we even mention South Korea, Nigeria, which hasn't happened yet. So I love the U20 World Cup. The big stars aren't there, but as we all expected, man, big stars replace big stars. You give them a shot, you give them a platform, and this is what happens. Names like Fabricio Diaz, names like Marlon Gomez for Brazil. Not a lot of people knew him heading into this tournament. Everybody knows his name now.
It's true.
So watch those quarterfinals.
It's true. You got a lot of Brazilian players, and you mentioned the Israel team beating Brazil. And Brazil had a player that went bold in this tournament with Marcos Leonardo. 5 goals scored. Menino da Vila of Santos. He expected a move to leave Brasileirão. But my shout out with Under-20 World Cup, I just want to say, this Under-20 World Cup is showing that Chelsea recruitment is on point in the Under-20 World Cup. We see it. Casadei, one of the MVPs. Kendrick Paez at 16, youngest goal scorer ever in the Under-20 World Cup. And André Santos is the best Brazilian in the Under-20 World Cup. So all these players are all going to Chelsea in the near future. So they're the biggest winners of the Under-20 World Cup. Maybe Todd Boehly went bold in the shadows. In the shadows.
Yeah. How many of them will actually see time? So
Casadei
if Todd Boehly,
man, he will.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna hold you to that. We might need to put some money on this because I will be so happy if that actually comes. But yeah, Kendry Pye, all these guys. There's so many great names in this U20 World Cup. You mentioned it. Chelsea are the big club winners here because Casadei is the real deal. One last mention: U17 Euros. Germany won the U17 Euros, their first one since 2009. All I gotta say is next to Lamine Yamal, who everybody knows because he's the next up from La Masia, Paris Brunner is the other player you got to watch. He's in Dortmund's setup. He's been phenomenal for Dortmund. He was phenomenal for Germany. I think he could have been more phenomenal, but in the end, Germany got it done. They won on penalties, and my favorites, aside from Lamine Yamal, was definitely Paris Brunner and the Polish U17 team. They qualified for the U17 World Cup. They have a bunch of names. They play like a team, and they were easily my most favorite team to watch in that U17 Euros. So congratulations to them, even if they didn't get their stated goal, which was maybe to, I don't know, win something. But I love these tournaments, man. I love
And
them.
if you're listening until now, don't forget to smash that like button and put on the notifications, please. Because if you're one of the first comments, I guarantee you we will be answering them on YouTube. If you're listening until now, thank you for going bold and listening to episode 108. And thank you for going bold with us another week.